It was an offense-only, players-only meeting. Now look, they mean there is chaos occurring in the building. Players-only meetings are never a good thing. Now, I have an issue with who called the meeting. Literally got to the Bills 6 months ago. Okay. So, who are you? You don't even know this team. You don't know this roster. You don't know these dudes. No.
Yeah, I mean, it was just good to see us talking to each other.
Let me get this straight. Latavius Murray gets flack for calling a players-only meeting, but the New York Jets' Garrett Wilson, in only year 2, calls a player-only meeting, and no one in the national media is talking about it. Latavius Murray, 33 years old, has spent 10 years in the NFL, across the NFL, on countless teams. Yes, he's not a captain, but he is a Western New York native representing Buffalo. He knows what this area is all about. I just don't get why the national media was on Latavius Murray for calling this offensive players-only meeting. So Garrett Wilson calls a players-only meeting for offense in year 2 for the New York Jets. That'd be like Khalil Shakir calling a players-only meeting. You hear ESPN and other people saying, oh man, Latavius Murray, like what? He's only been there for a flash of a second. Garrett Wilson's only been in the league a flash of a second. Nathaniel Hackett, the guy that was fired from the Denver Broncos, who we now see that Sean Payton is definitely a better coach than Nathaniel Hackett, is loving this supposed players-only meeting. Let me remind you what happened a week after the Buffalo Bills player-only meeting. Ken Dorsey was fired. This article clearly states that Garrett Wilson was the one that led this players-only meeting, and we're going to get into the New York Jets' stats offensively, defensively, and this overall matchup for the Buffalo Bills. But really the premise of this meeting was to get out of this offensive funk. You know, and the Jets' offense kind of has this really big excuse lingering over their heads because of Aaron Rodgers and his injury. They all assumed that Aaron Rodgers was going to be there for the whole season, obviously tearing his Achilles. And you could hear here that Nathaniel Hackett, the offensive coordinator, says, I think it's natural for people to all of a sudden be upset and be frustrated even during the game. Hackett went on to say, our job as a group is to be able to rebound. We have to be able to bounce back. And don't forget, Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett are friends. They are tied to the hips. It is very unlikely that the Jets are going to be parting ways with Nathaniel Hackett because of the relationship between Aaron Rodgers and Nate Hackett. Similar like what I was saying in my previous video, I'll link it above, but the rift could be starting to form between players and Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett. Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett had this close relationship. Josh Allen and Ken Dorsey, you know, Allen going to bat for Ken Dorsey to be OC. Maybe the people in the locker room, they start losing confidence in Nate Hackett. They start losing confidence in Ken Dorsey. So a change was made, so a rift was not created between quarterback and other players. And this article states that the Jets have not scored an offensive touchdown in their last 36 possessions. Combine that going against a Buffalo Bills defense that has allowed the 9th fewest touchdowns this season, only allowing 19 of them. That could be easier said than done. And that trend could very well continue for the New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills this week. The Bills are the 9th best in the NFL, allowing the 9th fewest total touchdowns defensively this season at only 19. And the last time that Zach Wilson played the Bills, week 1, he went 14 of 21, passed for only 140 yards with only 1 touchdown and an interception. And yes, I know there are some changes on the defensive side of the football, obviously for the Bills since week 1, not having Matt Milano, Daquan Jones, and Trey White, but we have some supplemental pieces here such as Linval Joseph, Rasul Douglas, and you got to keep in mind here too, Dorian Williams is not necessarily a rookie anymore. He's had some experience. Terrell Bernard getting his first NFL start at middle linebacker. The inexperienced players on this team that started the season week 1 in an away stadium versus the New York Jets are not so inexperienced anymore. And we can also see here that Ed Oliver is completely dominating the NFL right now. This post says, yeehaw, Ed Oliver leads all defensive tackles in both pressures at 41 and pressure rate at 16.8%. You're talking about Aaron Donald, you're talking about Quinnen Williams, you're talking about every single defensive tackle in the NFL, and Ed Oliver is currently the best. Even further proof that Ed Oliver is balling out here in 2023 after signing that contract. He's playing free. I don't think he's worried about getting hurt, and you can see Ed Oliver has already recorded more quarterback pressures through 10 weeks at 37 than he did through the entire 2022 season. Leonard Floyd, Greg Rousseau, Von Miller starting to show glimpses of his old self here, and why that is a problem for the New York Jets is because this offensive line is one of the worst, if not the worst offensive line in pass blocking this season. And you can clearly see it is really because of some injuries too. Connor McGovern going on IR. Billy Turner is going to be out for this game. We can see here that Zach Wilson and the Jets are allowing the 4th highest sack percentage in the NFL at 9.94%. They currently ranked 28th at pass protection. We can see the Jets are 30th overall in total passing yards per game at only 179.2. Zach Wilson has the 3rd worst completion percentage in the NFL at only 59.42%. One thing I did find interesting here is that Zach Wilson has thrown the 10th fewest interceptions. You would think the Jets would be really relying on running the football, but we can clearly see here that their pass play percentage ranks 5th highest in the NFL at 63.33%. And when we take a look at the New York Jets rushing stats, their rush play percentage ranks only 28th in the NFL at 36.67%. One of the formulas to win on the road is running the football. And I know the Jets are going to definitely try to run the football against the Buffalo Bills. Breece Hall really leads the way for the New York Jets, and they still have Dalvin Cook going against his brother James Cook. Could be extra amped up for this game. But again, when we look at the stats for rushing the football for the New York Jets, the total rushes per game are only 22 on average, which ranks 30th in the NFL. When you take a look at their rushing yards per game, they are at 103.9, which ranks 18th in the NFL. Rushing touchdowns per game at only 0.3, which is 29th in the NFL. It's crazy to see that Nathaniel Hackett is putting this offensive line in more pass blocking situations when Zach Wilson is getting smothered, and they have one of the worst offensive line, pass blocking offensive lines in the NFL. You would definitely think they'd be running the football a little bit more. Before we get into the Jets defense and their struggles, we can see the total points per game for the Jets are 30th overall at only 16. The yards per game ranked 29th in the NFL at only 283. Their points per play is at .267, which is 29th. Yards per play at 4.7, which is 28th in the NFL. They have the worst 3rd down conversion rate, 25% only on 3rd down, which is 32nd in the NFL. The red zone scoring is also pathetic offensively at 22.73%, 32nd in the NFL. Touchdowns per game at only 1.1, the worst in the NFL. So yes, the Bills defense has a lot of injuries. We have a lot of supplemental pieces here. Obviously, Linval Joseph, Rasul Douglas, Dorian Williams, no longer a rookie anymore. The Bills have had everyone practice fully this week, and I think Micah Hyde is going to be back for this game. Christian Benford is going to be back for this game, although McDermott said he could just be in a backup role. We've really seen Dane Jackson step up to the plate here, and I think it's going to be Rasul Douglas and Dane Jackson, who are both excellent in run support. Now, the deficiencies for the New York Jets defense, what is it going to be? And we can see here that the New York Jets still have a top-ranked defense. Opponents' points per game, they are 7th in the NFL. Yards per game, they are only allowing 307.8 yards per game, which is 6th best in the NFL. Opponent points per play is 4th best in the NFL. Where it gets interesting, the New York Jets' 3rd down defense is only 18th best in the NFL. They are allowing 39.71% on 3rd downs. And there's a big difference for the New York Jets. They really are better against the pass. One of the best teams defensively against the pass, but when you look at their rushing stats, they're one of the worst. The opponent's yards per rush, they rank 22nd in the NFL. They're allowing 4.3 yards at carry. Total amount of opponents' rush yards per game, they are second worst in the NFL, allowing 138.4 yards. They haven't allowed a lot of rushing touchdowns, but we all know Josh Allen can run it too. They're only allowing 0.6 rushing touchdowns per game, which is 8th best in the league. Now, their pass defense ranks high in every category, really, other than the completion percentage. They are the 12th best in the NFL at 62.81%, but the opponent yards per pass, you could see, is second best in the NFL. The passing yards per game, they're third best in the NFL. They have the 7th highest interception rate defensively in the NFL, and they are still top 10 in total sack percentage in the NFL. They're sacking opposing quarterbacks 8.06% of the time. And it's not just defensively for the Bills. Obviously, the Buffalo Bills' struggles have happened offensively so far this season, but we have to reflect back to week 1 when the Buffalo Bills had 4 turnovers in that game, Josh Allen throwing 3 interceptions. Really, the formula to win this game is to not turn the ball over, obviously, every single week, but especially against these pitiful type opponents. And we have to talk about some of the other players on this Buffalo Bills offense. Dalton Kincaid is no longer a rookie anymore, and we got Osiris Torrance, also a rookie that started week 1 for the Buffalo Bills versus New York Jets. Clearly, they are better players at this point than week 1. And the proof is here for Dalton Kincaid, already 16th best in the NFL at 45 total receptions. The most receptions by a rookie tight end in an NFL season. And you can see the number 1 person here is at 81. If you do the calculations here with 7 remaining games for the Bills, if Dalton Kincaid has an average of 5 receptions per game for the remainder of this season, he's going to be at 80 total receptions, putting him second best in NFL history. We all know Dalton Kincaid could easily have more than 5 receptions per game. And Dalton Kincaid is already 4th on the list in Buffalo Bills history for the most receiving yards for a rookie tight end. Currently at 390 total yards, only 11 yards away from the 3rd place person, only 12 yards away from the 2nd place person, and literally only 81 yards away from the number 1 person on this list. I think Dalton Kincaid is fully capable of doing this. And with 7 games left, Dalton Kincaid has 2 receiving touchdowns. The number 1 person in Buffalo Bills history for a rookie tight end has 4. 7 more games. Dalton Kincaid already has 2. Dalton Kincaid has 2 or more reception touchdowns for the remainder of this season. He's going to be number 1 on the Buffalo Bills list. I hope you guys remember my video a few months ago talking about how I believe Dalton Kincaid had every potential to shatter the Buffalo Bills history books for a rookie tight end. Don't forget about Osiris Torrance, clearly a better offensive lineman than what he was in his first career game start against the New York Jets. That is going to be trending up. Obviously, the move here, moving on from Ken Dorsey and Joe Brady, a little bit more energy, a little bit more fun per Sean McDermott this week in practice. A home game for the Buffalo Bills versus week 1 and being away with the New York Jets. Man, everything is trending up for the Buffalo Bills to completely crash the New York Jets. I feel like a perfect game plan for Joe Brady and this Buffalo Bills offense to make this transition easy, especially on a short week for the Bills, is to really run the football. The New York Jets, clearly the stats show they are not a great defense at stopping the run. So the Buffalo Bills should really set out running that football against the New York Jets. Obviously a lot better against the pass that they are with their pass rush, and also Sauce Gardner, Whitehead. I mean, they have some dynamic pieces there. So I think the Bills could really set foot here, run the football with James Cook, with Latavius Murray in his 10th year here. Maybe we see a surprise piece enter the game here with Leonard Fournette, another addition here for the Bills. I think we learned from Nyheim Hines coming here on a trade, knowing how hard it was to learn this playbook and the pass blocking concepts. So maybe the Bills made some adjustments with Leonard Fournette to try to get out there a little bit earlier. So to ease this transition between Ken Dorsey to Joe Brady in this first game start, I say we run the football down the New York Jets' throat. limit the turnovers, take care of that football throughout the game, even if the game is close. I truly believe the Bills have everything they need to dominate this game. I think it's going to happen in bunches defensively here too. Zach Wilson going against this Buffalo Bills defensive line should definitely help the back end of this Bills defense. Maybe interceptions. We've been on an interception drought here, and I think it's time that the Bills get multiple interceptions this game, maybe a forced fumble, and really rely on running that football. Go back to 2017 and the Tyrod Taylor days when we relied on this defense. And I know some of you are going to be like, wait, rely on this defense without Daquan Jones, Matt Milano, and Trey White? Well, look at what we did against the Broncos. Look at what we did against the Cincinnati Bengals. This defense is back. I appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting like, subscribe for future content, releasing a video every single day, as well as going live during every NFL game. Appreciate you guys. Hit like, subscribe, and go Bills.